You know that moment when your data tells you one thing, but your gut screams something else? Today, we're diving into a fascinating principle called trust but clarify data.
It's such a critical topic, especially now when we're all trying to be data-driven but sometimes forget to engage our critical thinking.
By the end of this episode, you'll understand why blindly trusting data can be as dangerous as ignoring it, and how to strike that perfect balance. So, what's the core idea behind trust but clarify?
Well, it's about respecting data while maintaining healthy skepticism. Let me share a fascinating real-world example from IMVU.
IMVU, the virtual world platform?
Exactly. They had these whale customers who loved gifting virtual items to friends. The team thought making group gifting easier would boost engagement.
Sounds logical. How'd that work out?
That's where it gets interesting. The aggregate data showed no improvement at all.
Wait, really? No change at all?
Here's where the clarify part becomes crucial. When they split the data by user type, they discovered something fascinating.
What did they find?
The whales loved it, their gifting increased significantly, but regular users actually gifted less because the new interface made single gifts more complicated.
So the effects canceled each other out in the aggregate data?
Exactly. And this brings us to a really important concept called Goodhart's law.
What's that?
It states that when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure.
Can you break that down a bit?
Think about engagement metrics. More time spent on a page or more clicks might seem positive.
But couldn't that also mean users are confused and struggling?
Exactly. This reminds me of a fascinating thought experiment about coin tosses.
Oh, tell me more.
If you flip a coin 99 times and get tails every time, what's the probability of getting tails on the 100th flip?
Well, basic probability says it's still 50-50, right?
That's what most people say. But here's where clarifying becomes crucial. If you've gotten 99 tails in a row, is this really a fair coin?
Ah, the context completely changes the interpretation.
Exactly. And this brings us to another crucial aspect, self-serve experimentation.
What's that about?
It's about building systems that make it easier to collect and analyze data without requiring engineering work for every experiment.
Why is that important?
Because when data collection competes with engineering resources, we often end up measuring what's easy rather than what's important.
That makes so much sense. But how do you implement something like that?
You need 3 key components: a feature flag service, a consistent event layer, and automated analysis tools.
And this helps with the trust but clarify principle?
Absolutely. It makes it easier to segment data and spot false positives.
Can you give an example of a false positive?
Sure. Remember that company that kept redesigning their product based on AAB tests?
The one in the document?
Yes. Their metrics showed improvement, but customer satisfaction stayed at 50% for 3 years straight.
What was going wrong there?
They had 2 distinct user groups with opposite needs: power users who wanted complexity and casual users who wanted simplicity.
And they were optimizing for one at the expense of the other?
Exactly. This is why we need to look beyond aggregate data.
It's fascinating how data can hide these opposing effects.
And that's where Campbell's law comes in. Metrics can actually corrupt the process they're meant to measure.
How so?
Well, when teams focus too much on improving specific metrics, they might make changes that look good on paper but harm the actual user experience.
Like increasing engagement by making things more confusing?
Exactly. You might see more clicks and longer session times, but that could mean users are struggling.
So what's the solution?
You need to pair your primary metrics with guardrail metrics that detect harm.
What kind of guardrail metrics?
Things like error rates, support tickets, and task completion time.
That makes a lot of sense.
And always segment your data by user type before making decisions.
It seems like segmentation is really key here.
Absolutely. Remember the IMVU example. The solution wasn't to choose between simple or complex, but to serve both user types effectively.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Trust your data, but always ask questions. Look beyond the surface numbers.
And don't be afraid to segment and dig deeper.
Exactly. Because sometimes the most important insights are hidden in the details.
This has been fascinating. Any final thoughts?
Remember that data is a tool, not a solution. It's how we interpret and act on it that matters.
Well said.
Next time you look at data, remember, trust, but clarify.
And maybe check if your coin is actually fair. Thanks for listening, everyone.